concerning the topic of PR6, which is on the agenda for this morning's meeting, and I've invited them to speak. Each of the petitioners will have 3 minutes to speak, and we'll proceed in the order in which the petitions were received. So as your name is called, what I'd ask you to do is go to the podium, but we're also going to call this person on deck. And if you're the on deck name, if you don't mind sitting in one of those 2 blue chairs over there, that way we can keep this process going. There will be a countdown clock, and it'll be displayed and managed by the AV team. And we appreciate your interest in this issue. I will begin with Brian Higgins to the podium and Douglas Michael to the on deck circle.
Morning. Chair Brockman, Board of Trustee members, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak this morning. My name is Brian Higgins and I'm an associate professor in the College of Medicine. My roles in the college include being on the curriculum committee for 10 years, directing 3 credit-bearing courses, and teaching throughout the first 2 years of our curriculum. In addition, one of the honors bestowed upon me by my colleague was being elected to the University Senate. Other honors bestowed upon me are by our students, and that's for my creativity and innovation in the classroom. One of the things that I do in our curriculum is teach a capstone course to our second-year medical students that prepares them for an 8-hour licensure exam that they take at the end of second year. Recently, the body that creates that exam changed the representation of certain content on an exam. Right now, I would like to make modifications to prepare the 206 learners that will take my course next spring to prepare them for this licensure exam that they must pass to progress to third year. These are 206 of our Commonwealth's best and brightest. We owe it to them to prepare them to the best of our ability. Right now, I cannot change my course the way I would like because it would constitute a major course change, and that cannot be done in that time frame. As an educator, I find it unacceptable. In addition, thanks to the generosity of private donors like Dr. Rankin and state legislative funds, UK has broken ground on a beautiful health education building that will transform the way we train healthcare professionals across multiple colleges at the University of Kentucky. We require curricular flexibility across all of our colleges to train these individuals and to utilize this space to the best of our ability. We owe nothing less than our best to our students, many who come from areas of our Commonwealth that are desperately underserved and want to serve those regions. We owe nothing but our best to our learners and to the great people of this Commonwealth. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Is it Dr. Higgins?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Dr. Higgins. The next speaker will be Douglas Michael and Bob Grossman will be on the on-deck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm a professor of law. I've been here 35 years. I've spent 10 of those off and on as academic associate dean at the College of Law, so I have some passing familiarity with the difficulty that administrators have here. I ask you to disapprove the resolution PR6 that you have in front of you and will come up shortly. I agree with its principles, to be sure. We can and should simplify and clarify our procedures. I have asked the President and the Provost where such changes should be made in my role as incoming chair of the University Senate, should it remain so. I have spoken, I believe, candidly with both of them. I have received no examples, no suggestions, nothing, no place to start, no place to engage in discussion. We have received instead this plan for consolidation of power in the President, and it's a flawed plan. Under this proposal, the faculty of each college will have the authority to do this, and this alone, make curricular recommendations to the Provost. There will be no collaboration and assistance, which the University Senate now provides, and which the administration says it values highly. They like collaboration. It will be gone. Each college will be siloed and set against each other as competitors. knowing that whoever gets the most students wins. The proposal is also poor business management. I want you to focus on that. Insulating top executives is how businesses fail, and it is how this university could fail. The president will live in a self-designed, trustee-approved echo chamber, insulated from voices of prudence and patience, to say nothing of voices of concern or opposition. The president, alone in his echo chamber, will be told that we need more students, but he will hear directly from exactly 5 faculty members, most of them chosen by him, about what to do with those students. He will not know how to create the workforce-ready graduates, which he has promised you. The president, alone in his echo chamber, will be told that we need to expand our healthcare delivery system. Will it be at the expense of our primary obligation to deliver education? He will not be told the consequences. It is clear from these proposals how this administration views the University of Kentucky. The students and the patients are revenue sources, and the faculty are simply in the way. But this plan can be fixed. I ask you to send it back to the president and instruct him to return to you with proposals that have the voted support of the existing representative bodies of the faculty, staff, and students. To do otherwise will risk the seaworthiness of our flagship university as the senior administrators run blind at the helm. It would be reckless of you as fiduciaries to authorize such conduct. For my part, I will stand ready with the Senate and Senate Council to work with the President and the Provost to provide the agile university we all desire to meet the challenges of these days. It would be truly visionary and a prudent fiduciary move for you as fiduciaries to reject today's hasty and one-sided proposal. We all know what works best. We've been told that. We all believe there's nothing like shared governance. And the proposal you have in front of you is nothing like shared governance.
Roseman on deck.
Good morning. I'm Bob Grossman, a professor of chemistry since 1994 and a faculty trustee from 2014 to 2020. Many of you know me from my time on the board, and I think you'll agree that when I criticized the administration's policies, it was always with the intention of advancing UK. That's why I hope you'll take to heart my message today that the President's proposed changes to relationships among the faculty, the administration, and the board are bad for UK and bad for Kentucky. The most pernicious aspect of this proposal is the concentration of power in the President's hands. Under this proposal, the President can abolish programs that are politically unpopular at the moment, and he or she can award degrees to unqualified people without the oversight of faculty. I agree that it is unlikely that our current president would contemplate such actions, but what about the next president, or the president after that? Presidents are not immune to political pressure. History has shown that institutions in which power is decentralized, as in the American government, are always the most robust in the long term, even though their deliberations are sometimes messy or slow. It is the job of this board to ensure that the University of Kentucky thrives into the future. It cannot thrive with an all-powerful president. The whole process that the president has engaged in has been a mockery of shared governance. Just a few years ago, the Senate asked the president to reaffirm his commitment to shared governance, and he did so at that time. So it is deeply disappointing that the president now refuses to engage elected faculty representatives in dialogue, despite our repeated imploring. Instead, he peddles misleading anecdotes about supposed Senate inefficiency and disparages the elected representatives of the faculty. Furthermore, his explanations of his motives have shifted repeatedly, and they do not hold up to the slightest scrutiny, as most of his proposals would exacerbate the problems that he just cited. For example, he proposes that a college's new program or course proposals should be vetted only by the provost, not by faculty from across the university, a policy that is sure to lead to more duplication and turf battles because only the provost will be considering them from a university-wide perspective. The result will be increased siloization and fewer voices heard. I know that it is very hard for board members to resist the president's pressure to approve his policies. And I know that the president has put a huge amount of effort into cultivating relationships with all of you, whereas I only have 3 minutes. But I implore you, for the good of UK and the Commonwealth, to reject this power grab and this kneecapping of the faculty, and insist that the president work with the University Senate to improve Kentucky's university. Thank you.
Dr. Jones on deck.
Good morning. I'm Philip Roseman, Cottrell Group Chair of Catholic Studies and also at the moment President of the UK chapter of the American Association of University Professors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Why should a university not be run like any other business? There is management and there are stakeholders. In our case, students, staff, faculty, patients, alumni, donors, sports fans, indeed the entire Commonwealth of Kentucky represented by the Board of Trustees. Management's task is to consult with these stakeholder groups, prioritize their interests, and steer the company to continuous growth. But here at the university, there are faculty who claim that they are not just ordinary stakeholders. They don't just want to be consulted on important matters touching on the central educational mission of the university. They want to have a decisive voice. That seems unrealistic and haughty. Only eggheads who have lost touch with reality can dream that high. Even in the business world, though, there is a price to pay if management overrules those with the core competencies that lie at the heart of the company's operations. The Boeing Corporation offers a recent sad example. Because demand for airplane surged, Boeing was no longer able to keep up with orders. So management decided to accelerate production just a bit, cut some insignificant corners here and there. Engineers noticed and sounded the alarm, but their advice was not heeded. The result was catastrophic, as we all know. Due to software problems, 2 planes crashed, while just recently a door plug fell off in mid-flight. Boeing's reputation is in tatters, its chairman has already resigned, and the CEO has announced his resignation. How does this example relate to the University of Kentucky? Well, the core competency at a university is education, which involves teaching, research, and artistic work. Only the faculty have the ability to carry out these functions after many years of training. Certainly, our university could not exist without students and staff, donors, alumni, patients, sports fans, and of course the state's flagship university cannot ignore the needs of the state it serves. And yet, the faculty are the guardians of the treasury of the theoretical and practical knowledge that sustains not only the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but our entire civilization. We have to treat that treasury with great care, in particular at a point in history when we are facing a whole series of existential crises. It is a mistake to reduce the faculty to an advisory role because they seem to stand in the way of acceleration and growth. If this happens, accidents are going to occur. My colleagues have already pointed out a number of such accidents and should hear of more. The most serious accident, however, would be, I should say, a loss of educational quality, because only faculty can judge what in their respective areas quality requires in terms of admission standards, program offerings, and curriculum. The victim of these accidents would be the people of Kentucky, whom we are called to serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you. Davy Jones, Professor Emeritus, former College of Medicine faculty senator, and 20 years ago I sat with you as a faculty trustee. I'm going to come at this with several historical anecdotes. 1997, there was a legislative urgency related to the community college system and whether it should remain part of the UK. The president at that time gave a speech to the Board of Trustees on the position of the board and the president that it should remain part of the UK. The president urged that there be a groundswell of support from the university system to the legislature to impact its decision. That groundswell never happened. The call for the groundswell fell flat. Why? What the board and the president at that time were not seeing was the incalculable value to the university of the generative engine of faculty with high morale. Next anecdote, let's go forward several years. A new president comes on board with a different philosophy. I know at the time, the board at that time paused reorganization of the university to provost system so that the new president coming in would have his hand in what he's going to be governing rather than inherit a fait accompli. There was a new board chair, Steve Reed. I can remember sitting in the car with Steve Reed as he was telling me that he had little patience for what he called presidents who do false listening. As operative example of a different aspiration. He came to the University Senate. I can remember him inviting the senators, if you have problems, if you think there are issues, I want to know about it. And he raised his cell phone up, call me. There was a time when the board members could opt to have their email contacts on their web pages. Third anecdote. In the early 1990s, I was in the office of Chancellor Robert Hemingway, at that time the North Campus Provost, so to speak. He said, Davy, let me give you some advice. There may be 10 criticisms that your detractors lodge at you, and you know 7 or 8 of them are just not true. Attend to the 2 or 3 that are. Now, I'll admit I haven't done a very good job of following his advice, but it was good advice, even for a board. And so I urge this board, and maybe I'm also speaking in the record to a future board, the 2 or 3 criticisms that the faculty have lodged that are accurate, they've got their finger on something legitimate, attend to those. Please, attend to those. Thank you.
Good morning. So I'll be beginning by introducing myself as context for my comments. I'm Dr. Braun, professor of mathematics in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm also a faculty member in the Lewis Honors College. I love teaching students from every college and every major. We get to do that in math. And I've been honored to receive outstanding teaching awards from the College of Arts and Sciences and from the provost. I also love research. My collaborators include faculty from Arts and Sciences, the College of Engineering, and the College of Education. This collaborative background is the perspective that I bring today. I'm speaking strongly opposed to the proposed changes to the governing regulations. These changes will undermine the ability of faculty and staff to serve and educate the citizens of Kentucky. They will weaken the bonds of collaboration and engagement that have allowed UK to flourish and thrive. And they will cause lasting harm, both to the reputation and the quality of our university. We are at our best when we bring people together, combine our expertise, and combine our experiences to reach beyond our individual limits. We have seen this in the past from President Capilouto and you on board, both in the rebuilding of our campus infrastructure and in the management of the COVID-19 pandemic. These were examples of engaged partnership between UK leadership and the stakeholders in our community, and we're all better for it. Unfortunately, the process through which the current proposed changes were developed fall far short of the precedent we've set for ourselves, and they violate many best practices for leadership. Confidentiality agreements, secret data, and refusal by the President's office to authentically collaborate have led to a proposal that would separate and exclude people, and that would eliminate the long-standing University Senate, which brings stakeholders from across campus together and allows us to combine our talents to achieve amazing things, even if there are areas of improvement that we can make. The University of Kentucky community, including faculty, staff, and students, have voiced our willingness to engage in an authentic and honest partnership with UK leadership. We can make positive changes to the GRs, ones that are actually inclusive, increasing representation of students and staff in the University Senate, and increasing the speed with which we can make decisions about critical issues. This will require all of us to set aside our egos, act with courage, change course, and do what's right for UK. The President's proposal would do the opposite, concentrating power and decreasing participation for everyone. I ask you, the members of the board, to live up to our potential and live up to our promise to serve and educate with excellence. I ask that you reject the current proposal and direct the President to restart this process with a foundation of honest and authentic partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Petrone.
Chair Brockman, thank you for the opportunity to address the board this morning. My name is Buckheit. I'm Dean of the Higgins College of Engineering, and I am here to stand in favor of governance revision. I'm speaking to you as a member of this academic community and not for the Higgins College of Engineering. I believe it's important to acknowledge that actions under consideration today are just the beginning of a cascade of governance revision that will sweep across the university. We have much work yet to do. In this process, I believe there will be opportunities to make our university be more and do more. Exactly how we make and implement policy, how governance groups work together, and how groups extend influence are all yet to be fully defined. However, for these opportunities to matter, we must be focused enough to recognize them and good enough to take advantage of them in ways that reflect our shared values. With all due respect to the staff and the students in the administration of the university, I'd like to speak to the particular role and the power of the faculty in university governance. What I believe is that the greatest power of the faculty derives from its ability to illuminate, evaluate, influence, and persuade. That power should be afforded the highest degree of respect in the making and implementation of policy, not because it arises from authority conferred from rule and regulation, but because it stems from deep subject matter expertise, keen intellect, passion for learning and discovery, and experience that is shaped every day in our classrooms, our laboratories, and our clinics. This power exists nowhere else in the academy. Because of its significance, the power of the faculty must be directed with great intentionality. It should not be overly burdened to administer routine matters of narrow or local interest, or an overly full agenda that can be capably dealt with by other means. Rather, we should ensure that this power be engaged to evaluate, advise, and recommend across the range of great challenges and opportunities arising both inside and outside the boundaries of the university. That will ensure that our academic mission is met. The governance revisions before us will change how the power of the faculty is deployed within our governance framework, but they need not diminish that power. In front of us is much work, but also much possibility. Let's not lose sight of our shared values and our shared goals as we pursue this endeavor together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Buckheit. Next up is Karen Petrone, on deck, Chipper Griffith.
I'm Karen Petrone. I've dedicated the last 30 years to my students and colleagues at UK. I'm here because the GR revisions have openly violated the norms of shared governance that UK has pledged to follow through its membership in the American Council on Education and the Association of Governing Boards. This violation threatens the national reputation of the university, risks a loss of prestige, and compromises the recruitment of quality students and faculty. I ask you to table these GR changes until there's been more time to consider them. The complex details of these changes were made public less than a week ago, giving the campus community no time to consider their potential repercussions in the last week of the semester. These changes include a full rewriting of regulations on academic freedom with no input from faculty or students. This is the opposite of shared governance. Furthermore, how the academic work of the university is going to get done on July 1st has not been sufficiently thought out. Rushing this radical change to UK's governing structure for no clear reason and without proper information and deliberation is not in the best interest of the institution and its students. This acceleration without clear direction can lead to serious and costly missteps. Why is the university in such a rush that it's undermining its own integrity and compromising its own principles, let alone its ability to operate efficiently? I ask you to restart the process of GR revision in the fall and include the current University Senate in deliberations. The University Senate has repeatedly offered to collaborate with the Provost and the President to mobilize their considerable collective expertise in creating new academic structures, but have not been given the chance to do so. Principles of shared governance and effective policymaking require that the University Senate be actively involved in any attempt to reform its governing structure. Secret deliberations using the unscientific research of an outside consulting firm cannot replace shared governance and faculty expertise. The creation of a new faculty senate without the participation of the current University Senate is illegitimate and undemocratic. The new proposals include promises that the SGA and the Staff Senate will have more input on the issues that concern them, and I am very glad to see the gesture toward inclusion of all parts of the university in deliberations of important matters. However, this gesture is an empty one as all 4 of the proposed bodies are merely advisory to the president. Too much power is concentrated in the hands of the president, and a future leader could abuse the power, and the concentration of power will also hinder members of the university community from expressing alternative opinions. This hierarchical and undemocratic organizational structure will silence the opposing voices of loyal and dedicated faculty members like myself, who are trying to prevent the leaders of this university from making a catastrophic mistake. Please table the changes and restart the revision process next year.
Trustees, thank you for the time to speak to you all. I'm Trustee Griffith. I'm the Dean of the College of Medicine. I'm speaking to you today as a professor of medicine and pediatrics, a tenured faculty member in the regular title series, and a former senator. And I want to speak and say that I do support these changes in our governance for several reasons. First, I value that we are going to elevate the voices of students in our shared government practices. If you think about it, our students, we exist as a university, as faculty, for the founding mission of teaching students. In our medical school, we do lots of missions. We have our clinical faculty that take care of advanced specialty medicine, they do cutting edge research, we do all kinds of teaching and training. But the founding mission, our indispensable mission, is the training of medical students. And to elevate the voices of students in our faculty governance is a positive way to go. I'm also very glad that we're going to elevate the voice of staff. We can't do the programs that we do in the way that we do them without the amazing staff that we have. So I appreciate the elevation of our staff in this process. And finally, I appreciate this recognition of the expertise of local faculty over curricular issues that are confined to the college. It has been very frustrating in the College of Medicine when there are curricular proposals that have to go through all these approval steps, that we should be trusting the College of Medicine professors to make these decisions, period, for our medical students. Just to give you an example, credit hours mean nothing in a medical student education. We have to have credit hours for loans and Department of Education, all that kind of stuff. But a medical student education is in weeks. Our accrediting body expects weeks. There's 130 weeks minimum. We have about 150 weeks. If our faculty in the College of Medicine at the end of this academic year, which goes all year, in June, all of a sudden says, hey, we've got this family medicine clerkship. Our students is 4 weeks long. They need to have more primary care, more family medicine. Let's make it 6 weeks. We don't have the ability to make that happen by July with the next coming class. We have to go through all these steps because this is a program change going the credit hours from 150 to 152. Why not trust the people that are closest to the college in areas that don't impact other colleges there? Medical practice is changing so fast. We've got to catch up with it in our medical education practices. We've got to be nimble. We've got to be able to make changes. We're going to this health education building. We've got to have a curriculum that will meet the grandeur of that building, and it has to be able to be changed at the drop of a hat to keep up with medical practice. Now, I also think this will liberate the Senate. I value the Senate. The Senate does great things in terms of our graduate student programs and proposals we make that affect other colleges and majors and minors in the core curriculum. That's all very important. And this will liberate the Senate from focusing on that and free up more college level proposals. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Griffith. Next up is Sarah Hall, on deck, Molly Blasing.
Good morning, everyone. To the board, thank you for allowing me to speak to you all, and thank you even more for the work that you do. My name is Sarah Hall. I am an associate professor of anesthesiology and pediatrics in the clinical title series. I'm an elected senator, and I also hold leadership positions in Kentucky Children's Hospital and the anesthesiology department. I teach a number of courses to anesthesiology residents, nurse practitioners, and other APPs, medical students, dentistry students, and beyond. As a clinical faculty member who also has a basic science PhD, I've been able to gather a great number of perspectives on this, and I speak today to support the GR changes. The medical faculty make up over 1,000 of the university faculty, and contribute a rich combination of world-class medical innovation, education, service, and internationally recognized basic science research. We care deeply about the mission of our university, preserving intellectual freedom, while recognizing and elevating the students and staff who are also the heart of our university. Since I spoke out at the most recent University Senate meeting in support of the change in governing regulations, a large number of students and faculty have contacted me directly. They also support the proposed changes and thanked me for speaking up on their behalf. They also requested to remain anonymous for fear of backlash. They support giving more of a voice to students and staff. They support colleges making their own curriculum decisions. With me, they support our president. Unfortunately, many who are in support remain silent due to the misinformation campaign against the changes and those who stand for it. Mass emails, social media, and news media have been used to spread fear and uncertainty. It is my belief that many of our non-clinical faculty do not feel so extreme as the few outspoken. They fall somewhere in the middle. They have legitimate concerns and are willing to discuss and reason to be one university moving forward. After my statement, I'm returning immediately to the hospital to help a toddler receive surgery for cancer. I will work with students, faculty, and staff who cannot be here due to their clinical duties. I look forward to going into my third year serving as an elected senator and will be among others who are recognized as a respected authority, even if it's in an advisory role. We will continue to make a major impact on our university, its governance, and our future. Thank you.
Blasing is up. On deck, Stephen Arthur.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Molly Blasing. I'm an associate professor of Russian studies in the College of Arts and Sciences and an elected member of the University Senate and the Senate Council. The best resource I know for adapting universities for 21st century challenges is a book called Shared Governance for Agile Institutions by Stephen Walls. And the book describes shared governance as a system of aligning priorities, the priorities of the board, the administration, and the faculty. A subset of these recommendations include 1, providing members of the board, administration, and faculty similar information about the challenges the institution faces and the need to address these challenges together. 2, creating a reservoir of trust so that everyone can focus on the issues ahead instead of dealing with suspicions based on the past. And 3, creating wide support for strategic directions that faculty, boards, and administrations alike believe are the product of shared governance. The biggest obstacles we are facing right now is that we do not have trust and open communication. We do not believe the proposed changes represent a product of shared governance. And the administration has not been forthright about the problem it seeks to address. I get asked nearly every day, why is the president doing this? We do not have a shared understanding of our current and future challenges because at no point has the University Senate been engaged in discussions of what needs to change and why. In many cases, I'm hearing more today than I have in these discussions. So let me be clear, elected faculty leadership stands ready to engage in true partnerships in shaping the future of decision-making at UK. But shutting the University Senate out of discussions of what the administration, the board, and the faculty need sets us up for colossal failure. We will be mired in grievance and suspicion instead of focused on the future and the institutional mission. There is pressure mounting for votes of no confidence. The institutional reputation is suffering. There are more than a dozen local and national stories in the press about these developments that do not show UK in a positive light. Candidates for faculty and administrative positions on campus are concerned about what's happening. Graduate students are questioning the value of their degrees. This is an institution where proposed changes were written in secret, shared at a time of great pressure and distraction, and they radically changed the governance structure against the will of the faculty, which threatens our accreditation. You deserve better. We, the university community, deserve better. We have best practices to lead to strong outcomes, and we have models of other universities who are doing this well. We can come together differently to do the hard work of building consensus and reaching solutions to problems that we share openly. And you can be the heroes of this story. You can change the narrative and the process and lead us to a better outcome. You can be the wise men and women who listened, who considered carefully the voices of dissent, and who demanded better.
Please finish your thought.
Yes, who demanded better for the common good of the university and for the good of the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Arthur. I am teaching faculty in the psychology department, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. I have 3 minutes, so I will try to balance succinctness with clarity. I am a teaching faculty in the psychology department. I'm also a first-year senator, and I wanted to say that during that time, I've had the opportunity to have more exposure to the process of governance here, to listen to the president speak about his vision for the university, and I found that to be legitimately inspiring in many ways. It's nice to have some perspective on that broader sort of forced look at kind of what the university may be capable of. And there are many issues in which I would agree with some of these proposed changes. However, I am standing here in opposition to it in its current form. So, for example, I think many of us would agree that including staff more openly within the process of governance is a wonderful idea. Were it not for the collective expertise of Jenny and Kim and Tamara in our department, it would probably fall apart within a month. And that's probably a generous estimate. And the same is true for students, right? They deserve to have more of a voice and a role. However, the way in which this current proposal is structured involves basically these 3 sort of kind of components: interact with the provost, and then interact with the president, right? They consult and advise the president. These are all valid, sort of things to do, but referring to them as shared governance might be somewhat generous. Generous is, governance is about more than just being able to speak. Right? It's about having agency, right? To vote and to have those kinds of impacts on what goes on. And something that came into stark relief for me came yesterday when our department had our awards day, right? Our term awards day for faculty, graduate students, and students, right? And students get to display the work that they've been doing all year on research projects. And it made me realize just how important the principles of research are for a university such as this one, a research-run university, right? Which means empirical work, transparency, to ensure accountability. And I feel that during this process of moving these proposals forward, there has been a lack of those 3 things, which I think violate the fundamental principles that a research-run university should abide by. These are the principles that we try to impart into our students. And I, of course, will abide by whatever decision the board makes, but whether or not I can sort of respect those changes, right, remains to be seen. It's my hope that there is still time to change that perception, because I don't think I'm alone in that perception. Thank you very much for your time.
Speaker is Lauren Cagle.
Thank you for the opportunity to share today. I am Heather Bush. I am a professor in the College of Public Health. I've been a faculty member in that college since 2006, and pending your approval, I will be the Dean of the College of Public Health. So the College of Public Health celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. It's been a special privilege of mine to grow my career alongside the development and the growth of the College of Public Health. We are one of those youngest colleges at the university and a testament to the significant growth of the university's impact in both size and breadth of teaching, research, and service. As a younger and smaller college, our voice and needs have not always been adequately reflected in existing governance structures. Current systems have not always appreciated the unique needs of a growing college like ours. The College of Public Health thrives on agility and responsiveness, and we need this to effectively support the growth and development of our college, our faculty, our staff, and our students. As such, a thoughtful reevaluation of our governing structure presents an incredible and a valuable opportunity. The proposed changes offers a chance to revisit shared governance principles and help craft a system that empowers all colleges, big and small, old and new, to contribute their unique strengths for the collective benefit of the University of Kentucky. We know that listening to diverse voices leads to more comprehensive and effective solutions. Authorizing faculty, staff, and students to take ownership of their academic environment also leads to increased engagement, accountability, and a more dynamic college community. As such, as a college, we look forward to this opportunity. We look forward to working together and to building a model that empowers each college while strengthening the university as a whole. Thank you.
The last speaker is Lauren Cagle.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Lauren Cagle, and I'm a faculty member in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm also a Kentuckian, not by birth, but thanks to the University of Kentucky, which brought me to this great Commonwealth in 2016. I love it here, and I love Kentucky, and I love the students and colleagues and citizens I've met because of UK. And I'm horrified by the threat to all of us posed by this rushed and radical process. I could spend my 3 minutes talking about how the shroud of secrecy cast over the process threatens trust in the institution. I could talk about the hits to national reputation we're already suffering. About the fact that we haven't yet seen a practical plan for how UK will function logistically if these rushed changes are approved, so we can expect widespread confusion and inefficiency for months to come. About my deeply held belief that staff and students should have more power at UK, and that disempowering the University Senate doesn't accomplish that. But I won't, because despite all the talk about listening to more voices, the one voice we haven't heard from at all today is students. So instead, I'll spend the rest of my time sharing with you a Herald Leader op-ed by 2 undergraduates entitled, "Capilouto's Assault on Shared Governance is a Radical Attack on Democracy at UK." I'm sharing with the permission of the authors, William Taylor, a graduating senior, and Cameron Lynn, a national award-winning We're considering the changes to shared governance proposed by UK President Capilouto and the Board of Trustees. Undergraduates, like ourselves, feel a sense of dread. Capilouto says he aims to dissolve the Senate due to a need for flexibility in decision-making and a lack of accurate representation in the Senate. Under his new plan, the Senate would become advisory. That means no votes and no power to stop the administration from pursuing their own interests, which may not align with the interests of students. President Capilouto has stated that the removal of voting power from the University Senate will not result in classes and departments being cut from the UK roster, as they were in the case of West Virginia University. But who would be able to stop him if the proposal passed? An administration set on expansion and profits would be equally willing to make cuts. Why should we believe the people who are set on eliminating faculty and students from the conversation? Undergraduate students at UK can see that a future of rapid changes made by administration without proper faculty consultation is a recipe for disaster. Surely the important part of any change is thorough consideration, not how fast it can be done. Removing the checks and balances on an already powerful president and board is never the answer in a collaborative field like higher education. As for representation, add the underrepresented groups to the existing Senate if that is truly the issue. Don't strip the Senate of its power. Thank you.
Kentuckians are continuing strategic and thoughtful enrollment growth because we heard from everyone we talked to that Kentucky needs more educated Kentuckians. More readiness by ensuring the UK core keeps up with their changing workforce. more partnerships to expand the university's impact and make collaboration easier, more employee recruitment and retention to respond to our employees' evolving needs, and more responsiveness to streamline and clear policies and procedures that ensure we are poised to accelerate our progress and growth. We were created to advance Kentucky. And now we are called to do more and be more for our Commonwealth. You understand the impact of a place like this. What we make possible for those to whom we are beholden, and for the state that is our sacred responsibility to serve. And you asked me and our community to accelerate our purpose. We did so as the dedicated representatives of our namesake. You asked me as Kentuckians. Under your direction, I turned to campus to help me answer the call. Colleagues in Work Group 5, more responsiveness started with our governing and administrative regulations review. When I began this process of reviewing how we operate together, I was asked often why. A simple answer could be yes, you're charged. You directed me to do so. But as my conversations grew, my why has deepened and evolved. I've heard stories from students, staff, and faculty about their experiences with shared governance, a structure and the rules and regulations that are there to guide our efforts. I cannot unhear what I've heard or disregard it. A failure to act on what you learn, an unwillingness to respond when you hear a call, an opportunity for change, would be a dereliction of duty. I believe we must act. At a professional level, staff told me that they are often excluded from decisions that impact them. Decisions they are charged to implement. Decisions that make their jobs more difficult and potentially negatively affect the student experience. Problems that, if they had been included as the experts in the area, could have been avoided. On a personal level, staff has shared with me that they are often made to feel less than their faculty peers. To quote one directly, they feel like a second-class citizen. Again, I know that is not anyone's intent, but it shouldn't be that way, particularly when so many of our people have so much to offer. As one staff member poignantly told me, it's not about your class, it's about your role. Your role, your responsibility, your expertise, your experience. That person is right. It's time that our rules and structures better reflect that. I've also heard from faculty who find the current regulations and processes difficult to operationalize and slow to implement. Some wondered why they could not be trusted to make decisions at the college level on curricula largely confined to the college that also adhere to rigorous accreditation standards. The question is not necessarily how fast. The question is why we do it this way. Some expressed that the thought of traversing what they view as excessive bureaucratic hurdles can chill innovation for new programs. But among the most unsettling things I heard came from students. To quote one directly, I'm here to say we do good work in SGA. We are sometimes disregarded unless we're in line with what faculty want. I believe student opinion falls to the wayside. These are our student leaders, ones elected by their peers to represent the student voice. They dedicate hours out of their week to join these meetings where they feel they and do not have a real voice. So those are just a few examples, and I share them not as an attack, but because I've been asked what the problem is and how we currently operate. There's no one problem. The truth is, how we operate no longer sustains our present nor empowers our future. All our people, faculty, staff, and students, in accord with their role, responsibility, and expertise, have extremely valuable insights that can help us progress at a pace that keeps up with our changing world. However, not all of faculty, staff, and students across our expansive and evolving community feel heard, valued, and respected, especially when it comes to the areas where they are the experts, the ones most effective, the implementers of our rules and regulations. I think we all agree that our students are why we are here. Our staff make what we do possible. Our faculty's innovation and creativity are what differentiate us from other places and help ensure our success in so many ways. But yes, these are anecdotes, just a handful of many I've heard, and I believe they're simply antithetical to the bedrock principles of shared governance. And what I heard is best reflected in the words and resolutions of our Student Government Association and Staff Senate. You've read all of them. They make clear that they've endorsed in clear language the principles, process, and engagement we have undertaken in response to your direction. I also know that we've accomplished many remarkable things under our current structure. And it is a testament to our people, their resolve, their intellect, their commitment, their compassion for their colleagues and our students. But still, we must do better, we can do better, and I believe we can achieve that working even more closely together. As my answer to why has deepened, so too is my answer to why now. Why not now? Throughout my conversations with more than 1,000 community members, it has become abundantly clear that all of us care deeply about this community and the way we accomplish our goals. I believe this is the right time to make a sustainable change. I believe we are the right community for this work, and there's much, much more work to do. And I also believe that if we don't do this now, we will be in this situation again, asked to do more, but unable to do so because of our rules and structure that stymie progress, deter innovation, and engagement. I know change is uncomfortable, while they call it growing pains. Indeed, if the board ultimately is in favor of these revisions, our work will be far from done. In an important sense, it will have only just begun. Together as a campus, we will undertake a multi-month process to review our administrative regulations, the daily management and operational rules that determine so much of our work. There we will refine and revise many of the things people have brought up today, and importantly codify the work we do and how we do it together in collaboration. In fact, to put aside a myth about this process, it has been suggested if the board approves these revisions, that the following day will be one of tremendous uncertainty because of all the changes. The truth is that much of the concerns that have been raised about the definition of grades, student rights, and what constitutes an excused absence will be folded into our ARs as is directed in the PR before you. Just as was done with the matters like tenure review, determination, academic freedom, program approval, and closures. These procedures, as you noticed from the revised ARs shared with you, have been moved largely in whole from the current GRs. They remain in place, they remain our rules. These operations will proceed as they did before, and we will take time as a community, as we should, to review and revise these rules of the road, doing so together. But the truth, too, is that if we're to live up to our promise and to our potential, we must be able to evolve with the world as it is. I know everyone here, even those who disagree, care deeply about this place and its people. I know you all believe in the legacy we've upheld for 160 years that serves all 120 counties across 4 inextricably linked missions: education, search, service, and care. And I know that is why you ask us, our board members, to do and be more for Kentucky. That continues as our North Star. It continues as our purpose. Today, we have an opportunity to ensure that we do that together. Mr. Chairman, that is PR6 for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is there a motion for approval of PR6?
Motion for approval.
It's been moved by Trustee Shute. Is there a second? Trustee Lucas. Is there any discussion on the
Mr.
floor?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to table the proposal, please.
It's been moved to table PR6. It's not a debatable item. It requires a majority vote of this board to table it.
Mr. Chairman, you do need a second.
And I need a second for the motion. Is there a second? Trustee Bill Hagan. Is there any, there's no debate allowed? Is there any, well, we'll go ahead and call the motion. All right. You want to do what?
Correct that.
You want to correct it?
Yeah.
So are you withdrawing your second? So there's no second on the floor. Do I hear a second? Who dies for lack of second? Is there any discussion on PR6?
Mr. Chairman, this board has heard countless appeals from those who care deeply about our university. These appeals, including those from the University Senate and from organizations such as the 200-member American faculty, alumni, the Kentucky AAUP, the United Campus Workers, and authors of numerous articles published in our local newspapers and in national outlets. Our actions today are being closely scrutinized by other institutions of higher education. All of these appeals consistently message that removing educators from educational policy decision-making is unwise and defies logic. It morphs a bottom-up democratic process which allows for deliberative discussion by those who know education best to a top-down authoritative process governed by those who are the most removed from the classroom. The faculty do not fear change. We encounter change every day in our academic work. The faculty do fear loss. Loss of their voice and loss of the quality of education currently being offered here at the University of Kentucky. Resolutions passed by the University Senate and meetings with record attendance indicate the faculty's willingness to accommodate change in our structure and processes. I paraphrase my colleague, nimbleness, created by consolidating authority and governance into few hands, increases the potential for administrative overreach and abuse of people who may have different perspectives and ideas than those who are currently in vogue. Ironically, it is often those people who will now be silenced who are the architects of the future. I ask my board members where the silencing the voices of paradigm shifters, creators, thought leaders, and innovators is the best approach for shaping our future citizens of the Commonwealth? My answer is no, and thus I will be voting no in these ill-conceived, poorly justified, and most importantly, rushed actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Brockman, and thank you for this opportunity. I do want to, we've heard a little bit about staff, but I want to point out a few staff here today. We have a number of members from our UK Staff Senate here, including Chair Lucy Linus, Chair Olivia Ellis, Chris, stand up by the way, staff senators, Chris Larmore, and we had several folks write a resolution this week. About 12 of our staff senators participated in writing a resolution that we'll be reading here in a moment. But I have the good fortune, as you know, working with those staff senators and representing the 26,000 staff across this campus in the Commonwealth. We have staff in all 120 Kentucky counties. We have just got a few more today, by the way, in one county here in Kentucky. This resolution I'm about to read passed the Staff Senate with 78 yes votes, 2 no votes, and 1 abstention, and is titled Resolution for Expanded Staff Representation in Shared Governance. Whereas the Staff Senate serves as the official elected representative body of the staff, committed to supporting and advocating on behalf of each staff member in an unbiased, equitable, and inclusive way. And whereas the Staff Senate serves as a crucial vehicle to foster a climate that promotes and empowers all university employees and students to participate in the decision-making process. And whereas staff are vital to the mission and strategic vision of the university as we transform the lives of our students and advance the Commonwealth we serve and beyond. And whereas shared governance involving staff, students, faculty, and administrators is foundational to the principles of the university. And whereas the current governing Regulation 5 fails to establish the Staff Senate's formal voice in decisions regarding the governance of the university. And whereas proposed updates to the university governing and administrative regulations emphasize the need for increased formal engagement and consultation of the Staff Senate in matters impacting career progression, compensation, benefits, facilities, infrastructure, budget, HR policies, and other areas of primacy related to staff. And whereas the President has actively engaged with the leadership and membership of the Staff Senate to solicit input on the current principles of shared governance, and now, therefore, be it resolved that the Staff Senate urges the University President and Board of Trustees to continue actively engaging with the Staff Senate as a representative body of staff members to ensure their perspectives are integrated into shared governance discussions and decisions, and be it further resolved that the Staff Senate endorses the principles to enhance the role of Staff Senate within the university's shared governance structure, and be it further resolved that the Staff Senate supports the idea of further development of a President's Council that engages with elected representative bodies of shared governance, their leadership, and other university constituents as needed, and be it further resolved that the Staff Senate emphasizes the necessity of changes to regulations that guarantee the Staff Senate's proactive involvement in the development, implementation, and review of all matters affecting the university's staff. And be it further resolved that the Staff Senate reaffirms the importance of a shared governance structure that recognizes the elected representative bodies of staff, faculty, and students as crucial to facilitating well-informed decision-making within their respective domains of primacy. And be it further resolved that the Staff Senate commits to a deepened involvement in the continued development and enhancement of a governance model working collaboratively with administrators, faculty, and students that promotes transparency, accountability, and inclusivity, and meets the needs of our community. And be it further resolved that the Staff Senate strongly supports the President's commitment to equitable participation in shared governance and the importance of active staff involvement in these processes. And be it further resolved that the Staff Senate supports the Board of Trustees initiatives to ensure the university endeavors to enhance a fair and balanced structure of shared governance and remains adaptable and responsive to the needs of the university community and the Commonwealth. And be it finally resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the University of Kentucky President and Board of Trustees for their attention and support, and that it be shared with the University of Kentucky community. that was signed on Wednesday by our Chair of the Staff Senate, Olivia Ellis. I wanted to and make sure that you all heard that. I know you had a chance to review it because I thought it was important to hear. So you know I will be standing in support of our staff supporting this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rachel. Trustee Hornung.
Student Government Association Senate passed a resolution on April 10th to affirm the student voice in shared governance. The Student Government Association Senate is a body of students elected by their peers that strives to proactively listen and advocate on behalf of all students in order to improve the quality of their holistic experience throughout their time at UK. We have been closely involved in multiple shared governance conversations with the President, and we have provided substantive feedback that has noticeably influenced the GR recommendations. We appreciate the President's commitment to maintaining a putting students first mindset. We want to move toward a model that empowers student voices with primacy on the issues that impact us most. We want to include more student voices and work toward a larger platform for our students. Student experience is important, and this model solidifies the platform for students. Only students have the lived experience to advocate and understand the needs and voice of students.
Thank you, Trustee Hornung. Any other discussion from the floor?
Chair Brockman.
Trustee Ballard.
I was elected because I offer an alternative viewpoint on this perspective. And I would tell you, I was elected because my predecessors lacked representation in the space that I came from. And I have met individually and with large groups of faculty that are supportive of the President's proposal, and that they are supportive of, as it moves forward, collaborating with administration and faculty on both sides of campus, trying to improve the process. We're supportive of faculty with subject matter expertise in curriculum, having control of that curriculum. And clearly, as stated by the staff and student representation on this board, we're very supportive of them having a voice that is heard and that they have appropriate input to all matters important to the university. And I think the perspective moving forward is more collaboration from all sides in terms of moving this forward so that everyone has an equal voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Ballard. The floor is still open. Is there any further discussion? Trustee Vance.
I don't view the faculty senate. I view the faculty senate retaining their major role in the academic curriculum. I think that's important. I think they're the ones that will play a major role in that. I would think they would solicit and feel comfortable with some staff and students at the table. They bring maybe some perspective they hadn't thought about. I think that the faculty senate will continue to play the major role in academic curriculum, and I think this basically enhances shared government.
Thank you, Trustee Vance. The floor is still open. Trustee McCann.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I would like to speak in support of PR6. I appreciate the concerns of everyone who has spoken here today, but I believe these revisions are needed and they'll create a sound foundation and direction from this board to foster the work of all of our students, faculty, and staff. These long-needed changes give all an opportunity to excel and present their views and to provide sound advice and counsel to university leadership without paralyzing the university's work to serve the Commonwealth and its students. I believe the new revisions to the GRs will better promote collaboration to propel the university to meet its mission of educating more Kentuckians and ready them for the work. I also have no doubt that our president will listen and consider every voice at this university.
Trustee Webb.
Thank you. Well, we can all agree that renovating governing regulations is a complex process. It's not simple. But I really do think that what I see before us is common sense. First off, as chairing Academic and Student Affairs Committee, I see that students have been deeply and directly involved with this proposal. And I think the more strong voice we can give our students, the stronger our campus is. And then I look at our staff, and the same for the engagement there. When we're talking about not just recruiting, but retaining good staff, and also the quality of life for them, our employees and their families. I think the closer they are to the table, the better job we can do there. But I also want to say our faculty. I am just amazed with the passion that our faculty have. The role that you play is critical, it's vital in every part of our mission, not just in the classroom, but in research, in community service, and care. And I just want to say thank you for being passionate about what you do. That's so important. And we've heard different perspectives, even from our fellow trustees, from faculty, on how they view this. But I think at the end of the day, we are here as trustees not to singularly represent any one of those groups. We really are looking out for the people of the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And we have a lot of opportunities here, but we also have a lot of challenges and problems. And I do believe these changes will help us to be better prepared as a university to help to address these challenges and problems to make lives better for Kentuckians. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Webb. The floor is still open. Hearing no other discussion at this point, I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege as chair to provide brief comments before calling for the vote on this matter. These words have stuck with me. They are, what you are doing is not radical, it's best practice. They aren't my words. They're the words of the representative of the Association of Governing Boards, AGB, that President Capilouto and I met with for an hour earlier this week. We had the opportunity for a 1-hour governance conversation and consultation with an AGB senior fellow and senior consultant. One of our faculty board members had suggested consulting with AGB, which provides counsel to colleges and universities across the country. Our conversation and the assurance I took from it was timely, just as the two recent conversations President Capilouto had with our accreditors. As the president of our accreditor remarked to Dr. Capilouto, we expect to see a commitment to shared governance in what you do. We don't tell you how that should take shape. Revisions and reforms, renewal and re-examination are expected. They are necessary to a vibrant and vital university. Indeed, all these conversations and the hundreds and hundreds more that President Capilouto has had with members of the UK community over the last month have convinced me of two things. First, there is wisdom in what we are doing as a matter of internal policy. Our rules and regulations, our processes and procedures are important, not solely because they instruct people what to do or what not to do, but in how they guide and empower an institution to act and reach its potential. The rules, as President Capilouto has said, should help, not hinder our work. We have frankly discovered by examining what other institutions like to do and listening intently to hundreds of community members that far too often our rules and our governance structure hinders progress. We are an outlier. And now that we know that, we have a responsibility to make changes. That is not to denigrate those who have long participated in these processes. As deeply as I feel about this issue, I know there are others who feel just as strongly about the importance of our current structure and regulations. They are invested in it and believe these processes and this current structure are important. I respect that. But we can't turn a blind eye to what we've learned. We can't ignore what we have heard from so many committed members of our community, students, staff, college leaders, and yes, many faculty. The President's commitment to listening and responding to the conversation that he has had across the campus has only deepened my respect for him. He made proposals and then he made revisions and evolved his thinking in response to what he heard and learned. That's leadership. At the same time, he stood resolute when he felt strongly about an issue, even as he was criticized for it. That too is leadership. The bottom line is that what he heard and what I heard as well is that too many members of our community, particularly students and staff, and those at the local unit level don't feel as though they have a voice. They don't see themselves as having a seat at the table in the decisions that are made about the university, whose progress and promises are a joint project. It is our shared responsibility, but that implies actually sharing in it. It is why our elected student and staff leaders have taken what appears to be the highly unusual step of endorsing this process and the directions we are taking. One of our colleagues, who is a member of the faculty, has acknowledged too that there is no unanimity among the faculty about these issues. We have heard that as well this morning from committed scholars. I respect them for speaking out. But there are many faculty, as our colleague has noted, who feel hamstrung and held back by the current structure. We have rules that inhibit innovation and constrain creativity. We can honor the expertise our faculty bring to the table, their key role and powerful voice in determining the curriculum, while including more voices and decentralizing more authority for how many of these decisions are made. We must honor those powerful ideas as well, and today we have a chance to do so. Second, I am more convinced than when we started this process about the rightness of what we are doing in terms of what we want this university to be in the future. The board has rightly owned this process and these issues from the beginning. The idea held in some quarters that we are passive or disengaged is uninformed and intellectually dishonest. We are the people's representative in leading the people's university in this state. In October, guided by our institution's strategic plan and the feedback we received from leaders across this state, we challenged the president and this campus to find ways to accelerate our progress as Kentucky's university. Our state is, without question, at an inflection point. Billions of dollars in economic opportunities, but too few skilled workers to fill the jobs available. Indeed, we know from the analysis that has been done that the fastest growing jobs and those that offer the most security and promise in the future will require the most education. What are we doing to prepare for that reality? How are we addressing these issues so that we might meet our mission to advance the state in all that we do? That is our why. And that is the answer to the question of why now? A simple comparison with other institutions, both those that look like us and many of those we aspire to match or exceed in key ways, have governance structures and rules of the road that enable more responsive action. That is a fact. We need processes and policies that position us to accelerate our progress and that align us even more with what the state is calling us to do, to advance Kentucky. That is why we have undertaken this work. It has not been easy. It will not be perfect. We will find challenges and things that need to be corrected or improved. You don't revise and reform what we are doing to the extent we are doing and not find things to correct. There is more to do, and our community will need to come together to implement what we consider today, and if we move forward at our next meeting. But we are a powerful community filled with world-class scholars, committed staff, and special students. We have learned much, and we will learn more as we move ahead. However, what we are doing is right because it is, as with all things we do, focused on how we advance the state that this institution was created to serve. And that is what we are being asked to give initial approval for this morning. I am excited about the prospect of doing so, and with that, I will now call the vote. All those in favor of PR 6, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? PR 6 passes 19-1. Committee reports.